So today we'll be talking about VPCs. The purpose of this demo is to create a VPC from scratch and also create two subnets, public and private subnets. So before we head right in, let's understand some certain things. What's a VPC? VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. It's your own isolated environment or isolated space or area in the cloud. You alone have access to this environment, and only people that you give certain permission to or certain access to can um, access your VPC, right? So what is subnet? Subnet is short for subnetwork. It's like sections, divisions in your VPC. They can be public, they can be private. Your public subnet is accessible to people on the internet, while your private subnet again is just for you and people that you want to give access to. Now there's something called CIDR block. CIDR is spelled CIDR. CIDR block. It stands for classless interdomain routing. Is the address range for your VPC or your subnet. So your CIDR block typically defines how many IP addresses you have. For instance, there's something called /16. /16 gives you access to over 65,000 IP addresses, while /24 is a smaller subnet that gives you access to over 256 IP addresses, right? So now let's talk about your route table. Route table is just like your traffic warden. It's what directs traffic to and out of your network, right? It defines it tells your VPC how to get from one place to another, both in your private environment or your public environment. So it's just your traffic warden. It directs traffic to and out of your network. So now let's head right to the demo. The demo again is to create a public and private subnet in a VPC from scratch. So now in your AWS environment, search for VPC. VPC right here. Now we're going to be creating one. So you just click on create VPC. Select VPC only, right? And now let's give the VPC a name. My demo VPC. Now we are going to pick, this is the CIDR block I was talking about. Just leave it in the default IPv4 CIDR range, and now choose a CIDR block. So for this demo we are going to pick 10.0.0.0/16. Remember I said this /16 gives you access to over 65,000 IP addresses on the internet. So click on create VPC. Successful. Our VPC has been created. So now let's create our subnets. We are going to be creating two subnets, public and private. Public and private subnets. So let's click on create subnets. Choose the VPC you just created, which is my demo VPC. Give your subnet a name. So let's say my public subnet. Now we are going to give it a CIDR range, right? So let's give it 10.0.1.0. This is /24. We're going to give it /24 because 10.0.1.0/24. Now remember, it has already shown. Remember, it gives you access to 256 IP addresses. It's a smaller range, unlike the /16 that gives you over 65,000. 65,000 is a lot of IP addresses. So now we are choosing /24 to give us 256 access to 256 IP addresses. Also, out of these 256 IP addresses, we have AWS restricts 5. AWS has takes 5 from it. So in in summary, you have 251. So, but that's, we're going to discuss that some other time. But out of these 256, you don't have access to 5 IP addresses here. You have access to 251. So now let's create the subnet. All right, now we have our public subnet. Let's create our private subnet. Same, choose the demo VPC, give it a name. Let's call it my private subnet. Now we are going to also give it an IP range 10.0. We picked 1 for the public, so let's pick 2 for the private. /24, again 256 IP addresses, create subnet. Successful. So we've created our private subnets. So now, so far, we've succeeded in creating our VPC and our 2 subnets, public and private subnets. So let's see. Here we have it public and we have private. So the next thing is your internet gateway. Your internet gateway is what allows you, is what in your private environment, in your VPC. The internet gateway is just a gateway, like the name implies, that allows you get access from the internet. Okay, so now we're going to create an internet gateway, because right now this VPC cannot connect to the internet at all. So that's why we need an internet gateway. Let's just use the name they suggested here, my internet gateway. My internet gateway, and then create. Successful. So now we are going to attach this internet gateway. We're going to attach it to our VPC. So you select your internet gateway here, go to actions and attach to VPC. This is what is going to enable your VPC connect to the internet, have access to the internet. So click, select my demo VPC and then attach internet gateway. So you can see that it has successfully, that's been attached to our VPC already. So now we've created 3 things so far: our VPC, our subnets, and our internet gateway. Last on the list is our root tables. So let's go to the root table section and click on create root table. Give it a name. We are going to create 2 root tables, right? We're going to create one for the public and the second root table for the private. So the first one should be public root table. Remember, is what directs traffic to your network. So this public would direct public traffic coming from the internet to our VPC, and the private will just be selected to only the people that you want to give access. Select VPC, my demo VPC, and create. Do the same thing for the private section, create root table. Give it a name, private root table. Select our VPC again and then create. Alright, so now we've created our root tables. We have the public root table, we have the private root table. So the next thing is to associate these root tables to our subnets. So let's start with the public root table. Remember, we have our public subnet, so we are going to associate this public root table to our subnet. Click on it, click on actions, and click on edit subnet associations. Select the public subnet here and save. Do the same thing for the private one. Click on private root table, actions, edit subnet associations. Click on your private subnet and then save association. So you've successfully connected this, and you've successfully connected your public root table to the public subnet and your private root table to the private subnet. So what's next? The next thing to do now is to allow traffic, right? Remember, your route table is what directs traffic, is what allows traffic to go where it's supposed to go. So that's what we are going to do. Now let's go to our route tables, select the public route table, click on actions and click on edit routes. So now this is the public one, and we are going to allow traffic from everybody on the internet, right? So let's click on add routes. 0.0.0 means everybody on the internet will have access to this. Click on internet gateway. You click on the internet gateway we created earlier. Save changes. That's been done successfully. What we've done so far is that we've created our route tables, we created our subnets, we've allowed traffic. So now anybody on the internet can get access to what we've done so far. Just a brief overview. The first thing we did was to create our demo VPC. We went to the subnet sessions, we created two public and private subnets, went to the route tables, we created two public and private route tables, we created an internet gateway so it can have access, and after creating all these, we connected our route tables to the subnet and also edited our routes to have internet access. So that will come to the end of this demo. Let me know if you'll be trying this out, and I'll see you in the next video.